and our moderator for tonight's panel, Bilge Ebiri.
Can everybody hear me? Oh, great, okay. And here comes the film critic to bring the mood down. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone for staying. Is everyone here? We were waiting a couple of seconds for everyone to come. But I want to welcome back to the stage the madman who put this film together, our director, Fernando Frias. And we have other guests, right? We have more people coming? Okay, great. And of course, Dave Gahan and Martin Gore. Are they here yet? We're going to start talking. My first question was going to go to the band, but I do actually want to ask Fernando, how did you get involved with this project?
Good question. Well, I don't even know where to start, but thanks to Nina Soriano from Anonymous, we were talking about different projects and our love for music, and then the opportunity came. She asked me if I liked Depeche Mode. I think you can tell the answer. And they were playing in Mexico City, and they wanted to film the concert, and from there we started just like discussing and putting together ideas.
And I imagine this was, just an incredibly complicated production to put together. I mean, you've got 3 days to shoot the concert and to mic the concert. I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. They're gonna be out
Let's finish that question later.
Okay, no problem.
The first question I wanted to ask was actually about the song we just heard at the end of the end credits there. I got to see this film a little early. When I first heard that song, I was like Shazamming it, I was looking up the lyrics, I was like, what is this song? And then I realized, oh, this is an unreleased song, right? Tell us a little bit about it.
So, I think we mentioned a long time ago that there were 4 extra tracks that we recorded during the making of Memento Mori. And ever since, people have been asking me all the time, when are they coming out? Where are they? When? Well, that's one of them. and you can keep asking me about the other 3, so I have no clue.
Hello, can you hear me? I actually, when we were watching various edits of the movie, but that was put on quite late in the credits, and when I first saw the credits rolling, I was like, I know this song. It took me a minute, and I was like, oh yeah, we did that. Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. We were talking a little bit with Fernando earlier about how this project came about, but tell me from your perspective sort of how you decided to actually make a movie of this concert, with these concerts.
Well, it's something we reluctantly do, to be honest, from our point of view, like to, we always historically have recorded the shows at a certain point of the tour somewhere, and this opportunity came up to do this in Mexico City, and I mean, really, this is Fernando's, concept and idea and everything behind it, and in a way, which, even though there's a lot of our songs in there, and not all of the set, if you would be bored out of your mind, and it was, you know, 2 hours something, 2 hours and 15 minutes, and the film would be too long, I would walk out anyway. But so there was a lot of stuff taken out, but he kind of, you know, it's a constant, it's almost like the songs, lyrically, everything performance-wise, they are a sort of complement to the concept.
How does it feel like, how does it feel watching this? Because this is, I mean, you're watching yourselves, obviously, but also this is another artist's interpretation of your work to a certain extent. Also, I mean, other artists, because there are other artists involved in the film. What did it feel like watching?
I loved it the first time I saw it, really. I learned a lot. You know, I really liked the poems in it, and I had no clue who those poets were, and I had to get Jonathan, our manager, to reach out to Fernando to inform me on all this. So, I mean, it was a journey, really, like very educational.
Fernando, tell us about how you assembled these ideas, these people, these poets.
Yeah, I think like in every project you find it as you go, right? And more so with a documentary. So we knew the elements, you know, we knew that we didn't want to work with interviews, or we didn't want to feature fans as it had been done before, you know. Also, like, I was listening to the songs, and I put together, you know, like, yeah, a document with inspiration taken from the music, and I mean, there's so many things, but like, the most important thing was like, it's a tour of Memento Mori, you know, and Memento Mori meaning remember you must die, and thinking, well, life as we know it, it's something limited. So I was inspired by limitations, right? Like but that's why we're using these old formats given to kind of random people in the audience, or my friends' kids, you know, or different ways of playing with it, and yeah, like working around those limitations of and trying to find, you know, metaphors. Also, like this demystifying the idea of like Mexico and Day of the Dead, you know, the kind of the cliches, but wanting to actually really go a little deeper, or open the discussion about like why are those connections normally made, you know. And so it was a very, very long process, and I have to say, we were finding it on the way, and one of the most enjoyable things was like the editing process of the songs, right? Each song has, we decided to have some sort of like style or personality to it, you know, and it was really hard to decide which ones to leave behind, so we were like communicating and navigating that, and yeah, we had a lot of fun, you know, like reaching the limits of the formats, like the editing, and kind of playing around like the inexactitude, you know, like because of, I don't know, we feel like we live in the days where everything needs to be more calculated and exact, and life itself is not like that. So I wanted to play with those concepts and represent like just the energy of the music.
We were talking. We were talking earlier about the challenge of this film. I mean, the shooting the concert. You were talking about, you know, recording the sounds of the concert. I mean, you mic'd the crowd. Tell me a little bit about how that worked.
Yeah, like there were 3 shows, and each one was different a little bit, and I mean, we had like 3 chances to, and we were learning as we went. So for example, with the cameras, you know, like the cameras that are used for the show, we didn't want to interfere with that because they are used for the CCTV, right? So we had to play around with ways of how to use it, you know, and that's why we kind of record from televisions and all that. And the same with we really wanted all of the audience, because they were like singing all throughout, but also in the edit we were like finding that we wanted to be really intimate and on stage with them, you know, and earn that, you know, like collective experience, and open up in the second to last song, you know. But of course, there's so many complications, because like the moment you want to like listen to the crowd singing. In the microphone set for the crowd, you can listen to the music coming in there, so that affects the mix of the music. So it's a complicated balance. So yeah, it's a little bit of a complex process.
But I think it worked really well because we feel that crowd throughout the film. I mean, it really does feel like we're at a and thank you to some of you folks, like obviously
I
everyone.
think it was most of the people in here, actually.
But we really get the sense, even though most of the film most of the concert stuff is you guys performing, it really does feel like such a collective experience. The crowd, the audience, they're part of the experiences, they're part of our experience.
It's very hard to, I think it's really hard to capture. I mean, I think Martin and I were really pleased with what Fernando did here in the end with it, because from our perspective, when we're on stage, one of the things about a Depeche Mode concert is it's a communal experience, and I think it's really difficult to capture that. There's only very few kind of like films that I've seen, and I've seen a lot of films. I'm a fan of watching films of music and bands and stuff like that, but there's only very few, I think, that really manage to capture that. Well, certainly from our perspective, how that translates, and it is a fine line. Watching ourselves, of course, is kind of painful, to be honest. But it's I can't really explain what happens when you actually are performing. It is a strange kind of spiritual experience, to be honest, that happens. And it's because we're together. It's because we're communicating somehow through music. It's an incredible thing.
Has that experience changed for you over the years? Has your relationship to the crowd changed? You've been performing for so long.
It's got bigger. There used to be 20 people, like if we were lucky, and maybe a dog or two or something like that in a pub. Just the sheer size of the stadium there was overwhelming, actually. There's a couple of shots which Fernando very cleverly put in almost at the end of where you kind of get the scale of the amount of people that were in there. And I at that moment I actually got the kind of hairs on my arms stood up, and I was like, wow, because I know what that feels like.
Yeah, it looks like all of Mexico came out to see you guys. The crowd is so huge.
No, I was just going to say that I think that there were some like lucky things as well, because we played in Mexico City after a month off, so we all came back a little bit fresher. We played in Mexico City right around the Day of the Dead. I don't think I don't think somebody thought about that a lot. Did you, Jonathan? I'm sure that must have been luck.
So to go back to your relationship with the crowd, Dave, your performance style is so energetic, so flamboyant. Has it always been like that? Have you opened up over the years?
I think that I try to just become the song and become the performance, and I've learned what's happened over the years, and it's quite natural. But if I really embody the character that is up there performing the songs, and with the response, of course, from everybody in the audience, it's just easier for me to do it like that. When it's flowing and when it's really good, I really enjoy the performance.
Yeah, I was taking notes, trying to figure out who you reminded me of. So I was like, oh, Mick Jagger, James Brown, and then I realized.
I nicked a little bit from everybody, so.
Well, the one that I finally realized what you reminded me of, the whirling dervishes of Konya, Turkey, who are carried away by the spirit and the music, and it was just, you know, there's an exaltation.
It's a bit of both. I mean, life and death is so close. It's such a close thing. It's just so fleeting, you know. But when you're performing on stage, and I'm sure Martin agrees, it's a moment. You're really in the moment, you know. And you know, at the end of the day, that's all we really do have, right?
And I think the film captures that really well. I mean, not, you know, both the concert footage, but also these other works that you've interspersed throughout. There is this sense of, you know, we're all kind of hovering between life and death, and the music captures that. I mean, that's been the special thing about your music for so long. I mean, you guys sing about, you know, dark subjects very often, but you can dance to it. I mean, it's the beauty of the darkness, and I think the film does that too. And connections with the Day of the Dead, I think, really, really reinforce that.
There is a playful aspect to death, yeah, of course there is.
No, and of course, like many things, like, you know, like they were saying, like it's hard to capture, right?
Yeah.
So and there's some elements about being playful with darker subjects,
Sure.
right? So for example, the idea of like, you know, the artist who says like, oh, bringing out something from the screen and to make it look as if it's alive. So
Yeah.
we knew that we were, you know, like trying to capture the energy of that concert and putting it on the screen, and then how do we kind of embrace that and make it even like somehow meta, you know,
Yeah.
to kind of project the idea of like, we want it to become alive again. So it's that kind of thing. And also at the same time, we knew that this is I knew that it was a concert film, you know, so we had to build those segments very carefully so they didn't take over, or, you know, it was to find the balance between those, you know, so and have like different perspectives or voices, or some are more poetic, some are a little bit more playful, some are a little bit more informative, you know, but yeah, because at the end of the day, it was really hard to figure out like which songs should we let live out, you know, and all that.
Did you find those artists, those segments, after you shot the concert, after the concert?
No, some I have, you know, like some is like using footage from like I don't know, like from one that I shot myself like 25 years ago, you know, and going. We played a lot with like analog versus digital technology, and finding like, you know, like those accidents and bringing them in, and then we opened the segments and we knew what we wanted them to be about. Some we really put them together easily. Some others we invited the poet, for example, and then once Daniel Jimenez Cacho, who does the voiceover, read it, like they became something different. So we had to go and get some other images, or, you know, so it was just like a back and forth.
And you found some fans in the audience too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how did that? What was that process like?
Well, we knew that we didn't want to. Like, there were other documentaries already done about like fans narrating their experience, and we wanted to take it away from like the dead person. So we wanted to keep like the collective spirit of the concert. So that's why you're listening to someone, but then watching the face of other one, you know, and yeah, I mean, but we really found so many fans, and they're super helpful, and a lot of them came from Mexico right now today.
Oh yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about, you know, the analog aspects of the film. I mean, with the analog TVs, and I mean that was, you know, I've always thought of Depeche Mode as a very technologically forward band, very technologically astute band. But obviously, you've been performing, you've been around for so long, and so, you know, when I think of, you know, my old Depeche Mode cassette tapes, you know, or the LPs or the CDs now, you know, which you know, a lot of people think are obsolete. I mean, it is fascinating to think about, you know, all the old formats that we saw you in, and now we can watch it here. And then the way the film kind of reflects all that back to us, I thought was fascinating. What did it feel like watching that stuff for you guys?
Well, that is something that we, obviously are very aware of. We've been around a long time, so everything's changed many times.
The Memento Mori Tour, I mean, this was an immense tour. You toured for, I believe, over a year. I have this number, 112 shows. Sounds about right, I guess. How do you keep your energy up during a tour like that? I mean, given how energetic you are, how do you keep it going?
You're asking for the secret.
Yeah. Red Bull? I don't know. I imagine you have
We'll
to...
just leave it at that. So.
But you have to get in shape for a tour like this, right?
No. A little bit, yeah.
You've talked about how you watched other concert films and you're a connoisseur of music and film. Were there other ones though that you've been inspired by over the years?
I mean, there's lots, and for different, all different kinds of things for different reasons, really. I mean, from Sigur Rós to the Rolling Stones, some of the old Stones stuff. I'm sort of obsessed with a lot of that old stuff, looking at old blues guys and stuff like that. I think one of the best concert films was the band, the
Last Waltz.
yeah, which is Scorsese, but it's just so brilliantly done, and I think it captures chaos and somehow pulling it off. We have a lot more technology these days to be able to do things and create, illusions and, but I think that, like I said before, I think it's a hard thing to capture. I think it really is performance, like real performance, and that's what we try and do. And it changes a little bit every night, really, and all those things. I know we stick to the plan, but it really depends how you feel. I mean, you change every day, and over the course of a year and a half of putting in a tour. So.
Are you always aware of the cameras when you're being shot like that?
A few of them this time because there were drones,
Yeah.
So there was a couple that got a little close, like what is it? I don't see so well, so
You told me, they can come. Yeah.
But there was cameras everywhere. I mean, that was one of the things we wanted to have. To be able to capture all these different things, and to capture as well the band, what was happening between us on stage, because we have a lot of fun, up there. When it's working, we really have fun together, and you're in sync with each other, musically, and it's humanly too as well, which that's not easy to do.
That really comes across in the film, I think. Like it's almost like we're watching a buddy comedy about the two of you. I mean, the interactions. It really does. I mean,
there's a lot of inside jokes that go on stage that I won't bore you with.
Martin, you've been quiet for a little while. What are you?
Sorry, that's my fault.
Fernando, I wanted to ask you about this. I don't know how familiar you folks are with Fernando's other work. He's one of the most exciting filmmakers working today, and there are two of his films, one called I'm No Longer Here, and then the other one, I Don't Expect Anyone to Believe Me. They're both available on Netflix, so you can watch them.
Thank you.
But he's also, he's a filmmaker who's very connected to the musical subcultures of Mexico. I mean, I'm No Longer Here is all about cumbia. He directed the first season of Los Espookies. And tell us a little bit about Depeche Mode and Mexico.
Well, that's I I mean, there's a when I first started talking about this project, I knew, you know, like for me, Depeche Mode, it's a band that in Mexico, you know, like everybody knows and everybody loves it, and like I mean, it's not a. There's a reason for which we decided to shoot this film there, right? It was like 3 sold out, 80,000 stadium capacity, and for me, what impresses me the most about the band is like how well it worked with so many different sectors of the population in Mexico, where like some other thing, like you were talking about, like subculture, they have like their identity anchored to one specific music kind. The legacy and the sound of Depeche Mode is like in Mexico all throughout. For me, it was very interesting because of course I was directing the concert, and then I have a very different group of friends. From friends who love, like, I don't know, hardcore, to other friends who are like now listening to what their kids are listening to. And when we were shooting, like, it was very exciting because everyone came together, you know, and everyone was like, hey, we want to be there, we want to help you, you know, and it was super funny because like all of the spectrum of my friends, like, and I think all of the spectrum of Mexican society kind of like see themselves in Depeche Mode also because of the amount of time and you know, like the songs that have accompanied them for so long. You know, I can relate to a very specific period of time with where I just can't get enough. You know, and now of course I will always remember Memento Mori as the opportunity I got to make this film. You know, which has been an incredible process. So it's something that keeps lasting. You know, and building such a strong legacy. And I think. Mexicans connect very much with that kind of like nostalgic aspect of like things that represent a particular moment in your life, and I think that's also something that other music had in common.
I just want to say as well, like, it's important to point out, I mean, there's literally hundreds of people that are involved in making a film, any film, but in this one in particular. And you are trying to capture something over a few nights, and it's you know, it's like a military operation. I mean, just that crew alone is 100+ strong, but then there's all the people that work for us. When you hit a city, there's all the people from Mexico that were involved, and all the people on the film. I mean, it's a great thing. You know, it's a really communal thing.
And also like with the fans, because you know, like. The first day I'm seeing the show is the first day I'm shooting, so we are learning a lot. But you guys took off a month, so that was enough for like someone went online and stitched together the whole show. I don't know where in Europe on YouTube by finding like, you know, like pieces of little videos that were recorded on their iPhone. But that's such like you know, like a work, you know. So that's how I was able to watch the whole concert.
So you stole it, that's what you're saying.
I didn't, somebody else, it was on YouTube.
It's alright, we've always done that too, so.
One thing as well that I meant to mention the last time I spoke is that you know, we've put out many films over the years, and the majority of them, you know, live films have been recorded in Europe. And some have been recorded in America. And so I think it was really important and great that we got to do this in Mexico. Because we've had so much support from Mexico over the years.
We can't hear you, love, you have to speak up.
Yes.
From Germany to Mexico and to see all the 3 shows. I'm so happy that I was there, and it was really amazing.
Thank you.
We're running out of time. I just want to check. This film is coming out later this year, right? I don't think there's a specific release date set yet, but it's going to be, I guess, in the fall sometime. I mean, this is the world premiere, and so everyone should please feel free to let everyone you know about the film. Before I thank these guys, I want to thank all of you that came out. I had seen this film in the basement of my house because they let me see it, you know, because I was going to be doing the moderation. Seeing it here, it was like a religious experience. You know, it was like watching 2001, and it was incredible. And you folks had a lot to do with it. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for attending the Tribeca Festival. At this time, and in preparation for the next event, we kindly ask that you make your way to the exits located at the top of the theater. All exits this evening are located at the top of the theater. Please check the festival website for other great events taking place during the 2025 Tribeca Festival.
Exits are upstairs. Bathrooms and exits are upstairs. Bathroom and